What's going on, everybody? Justin here. So I'm going to bring you yet another abandoned video. This one was suggested by May Vincent, so thank you very much for suggesting this. I want to let you know that I have been seeing other requests from you guys, and I wanted to let you know that I am getting to them. I just have a lot of other projects I'm working on at the moment. But I am definitely honoring your requests. I'm looking at them, I'm doing the research, so you will see them. I mean, I think May requested this one about a month ago. But anyway, let's go ahead and go over to Ohio and check out which was at one point one of the world's largest malls, Randall Park Mall. In 1966, Dominic Visconti proposed the construction of Garfield Mall in nearby Garfield Heights, and was received positive by voters in 1968. Plans were released to the public in 1969 that showcased an underground heated parking lot and an elevator to access Hal's, Higbee's, JCPenney's, and Sears. This video isn't about Garfield Mall, but I promise this is important. In the east nearby, eccentric millionaire Edward J. DeBartolo proposed an $85 million one-level, 825,000 square foot mall on the site of Randall Park Racetrack in 1964, which would include 3 department stores, 80 stores, restaurants, and 4 high-rise office buildings. Demolition began to the Randall Park Racetrack on February 8th, and on the same day, DeBartolo proposed a $15 million racetrack now that the state of Ohio allowed Sunday racing. A day later, DeBartolo announced that he wanted to build the largest shopping complex in the United States at Randall Park Racetrack. This now included a 2-level mall with 200 stores, 2.2 million square foot, 20-story office buildings, 3 14-story apartments, and a 4,500-seat performing arts theater. This plan costed around $235 million and was designed to compete with downtown Cleveland. Remember when I said Garfield Mall was important? Because of what Randall Park Mall had to offer, Garfield Mall had no choice but to scale down to a strip mall, and the department stores moved to Randall Park Mall. His plan was later revised to include the theater with 4 14-story office buildings and high-rise condominium apartment buildings with 2,000 living units. Want to know how eccentric DeBartolo was? Well, he used to arrive on the building site via helicopter, and despite having 400 workers on site each day, he would treat them all to expensive Italian dinners. But it doesn't stop there. In 1977, DeBartolo purchased the San Francisco 49ers and then gave the team to his son. The 49ers became the most successful NFL franchise in the 1980s as a result of this. They even owned the Pittsburgh Penguins at a point from 1977 to 1991. Well, let's just jump forward to the mall's opening. A Holiday Inn was opened on the northeast section of the mall property and opened in 1971. JCPenney's opened up on February 1975. And finally, Randall Park opened its doors on August 11, 1976. Just a little over a year after Rolling Acres Mall opened up, which was only about 26 miles away from Randall Park Mall. Sears opened up in February 1977. Hal's was meant to open up in the mall but went under in 1982, so instead there was a 3-screen movie theater in its place. On opening day, more than 5,000 guests were treated to champagne, fresh shrimp and crab, cold roast turkey, hot corned beef and ham, crepes, coffee, and dessert. Sounds like a hell of an opening. The mall brought in $140 million in sales its first year, and while it did affect nearby malls, it never caused any of them to close. This mall sounded like an absolute wonder, so what could have possibly ended it? The area of Cleveland that Randall Park was in was not the best. Petty crimes such as car break-ins and gangs started showing up and becoming more common as the surrounding neighborhood declined. In the late 1970s, the manager of one of the shoe stores was found murdered and left in a snowbank in the parking lot. It only got worse in the 1980s when car thefts started happening, and in the mid-80s, a gang-related riot caused the mall to close down early that day. It also didn't help that in 1978, Beechwood Place Mall opened up, taking away most of the upper-class shoppers. The mall just didn't feel safe anymore. Most of the original stores were gone by the 1980s. Burlington Coat Factory took over most of the upper level, and JCPenney's became an outlet store in 1999 and closed in 2001. Dillard's replaced Higbee's and would later close in 2002. The store closed shortly after an off-duty Maple Heights police officer was working as security and caught a shoplifter in Dillard's and ended up beating the shoplifter so badly he had to go to the hospital. The shoplifter died shortly after his release from the hospital, and the family sued Dillard's. They won $2.8 million in the lawsuit. Dillard's claimed that the closure was due to low sales, but I think most likely it had to do with the lawsuit and the reputation they probably received after the incident. In 1996, the former 3-screen movie theater from the never-built Howell's Anchor became the 12-screen Magic Johnson Movie Theater, and would later become AMC Theaters in 2007. When a gunshot was fired in the movie theater in 2000, this didn't help the mall's already poor reputation. I should mention that the high levels of crime and social economic decline even ruined other businesses surrounding the area, including the Holiday Inn. Richard Real Estate bought the mall for $6 million in 2004, and not only did absolutely nothing to improve the mall, but they tried to sell the Magic Johnson Movie Theater with no results. They defaulted on over $200,000 in unpaid property taxes. In 2007, the old J.C. Penney's became Ohio Technical College. However, due to the low attendance and sales in May 2008, the mall announced that they would be closing in June. Burlington Coat Factory, Sears, and the Technical College, and the movie theater as well, would remain open but could only be accessed from the outside. Sears would close in June of 2009 and the movie theater shortly afterwards. There have been talks about demolishing the mall and turning it into an industrial park. Parts of the mall have been demolished, but the empty anchor stores still have been left untouched. The Holiday Inn has also sat there untouched. So what was the ultimate downfall of the mall? Well, the obvious answer is the crime, but I think there's a lot more to it than that. I do find it odd that so many of the events here mirror what happened at Rolling Acres Mall, which, as I mentioned, was not too far away. Both malls even had a shooting in their respected movie theaters. Go figure. But management is a big factor. Del Bartolo Realty backed out in the early 90s because they did not like the direction the mall was going in. Richard Real Estate, as I mentioned, did absolutely nothing to improve the mall. At least the management at Rolling Acres Mall made an attempt to improve the mall. Luckily for the mall, they missed the worst of the economic recession of 2008 by closing just months before the worst of it. However, there are a lot of remaining anchor stores that closed up in 2009, and I think those closures had something to do with the recession. When it comes to the management, well, that brings me to the what-if scenario. What if De Bartolo passed the mall to his son? So in this scenario, instead of selling off the mall, De Bartolo will pass the mall on to his son before his death in 1994. While Del Bartolo was very business savvy, I mean, there's a reason why he was estimated to be worth around $580 million at the time of his death. Remember when I mentioned that he bought the San Francisco 49ers and that for his son, and they were the most successful NFL franchise during the 1980s? Well, it had nothing to do with money so much as Del Bartolo Jr. was also very business savvy, just like his father. He devoted significant resources to the team and became an expert in team management and relations. So I think that Del Bartolo Jr. would have used those same management skills to help it with mall management. But I do think that's not what would have saved the mall. Anytime crimes start happening at malls, people stop showing up. Unfortunately, a bad area is a bad area, so I think while Del Bartolo Jr. would have had better management skills than Richard Real Estate, I think this would only have been delaying the inevitable downfall of the mall. With the mall being so big, it means higher utility bills and rent, and with shopper attendance being so low, there's a pretty high chance it would have had the same problem with Rolling Acres Mall, that the mall just wouldn't have been able to pay its utility bills. I mean, towards the end of the mall's lifestyle, they even stopped turning off the escalators. Well, that was Randall Park Mall. Thank you for watching. May, thank you so much for suggesting this video. This was a lot of fun to research. So, anyway guys, be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Share this video with your friends. If you have any stories of going to Randall Park Mall, please share them below. I'd love to hear them. And subscribe if you want to see more, and when you do subscribe, make sure to hit that bell button so you will always be notified with new material. Alright everyone, I will see you next time on Abandoned.